With the recent increases in comic book prices, I started to ask myself, why do I collect comic books? Hey YouTube, it's Matt here. Hey, as I talked about in that introduction, these prices are skyrocketing at a rate we have never seen before. I don't know if this is sustainable. I don't know if there's going to be a crash. I don't know if there's going to be a pullback and a plateau. I have no idea what's going to happen. But right now, this is a seller's market in the comic book community. Prices of books are just going astronomical. And I could throw out figures for you. I could throw out all kinds of numbers to show what I'm talking about. An example, well, in fact, I will throw out a few numbers out here. Okay, giant size XMen 8.0 CGC slab. It was a $750 book not too long ago. Yeah, you go ahead and try to find that same book for $750. Heck, find it for $1,000. And if you think about it, that's a 33% return on investment. If you had bought that book at $750 to sell it for $1,000, that's an amazing profit. But that's not the case anymore. That book's going for 10 times that amount of money. Daredevil, guys, try to find a Daredevil _1 for cheap. Okay, you will not do it. That used to be the entry-level Silver Age first appearance for a lot of people to get into the Silver Age. That's not the case anymore. There's so much news going on with Daredevil. It is confirmed that he is going to be in the MCU. It has been confirmed that everybody is going to be in the MCU, or now the DCEU, okay? Because, heck, who knows if the Zack Snyderverse is going to keep going, but there's starting to become heat up spec in the DC movies. That's driving a lot of these price increases. And I want to be very specific whenever I'm talking about price increases. I'm talking about the secondary comic book market, not the books that you buy at, the books that come out every single Wednesday. We all hear about the nostalgia factor, like, hey, we remember these certain things that happened to us. Did a relative introduce you to comics? Did a friend? What harkens you back about it? Is it just a character that you enjoy reading? There's so many reasons, but with the prices of books, for somebody to start getting into them, you have to question, what is your motivation? What are you hearkening back to? Is this some, like I said before, is this some nostalgic need that people have? Or is this a way of being aggressive and trying to build wealth? Because, hey guys, listen, there are a lot of collectors out there, and some people scoff at those that are trying to build wealth. Others are trying to do it. I actually can see wisdom in both. As with anything in economics, markets go up, markets go down. It's the old Netherlands tulip craze back in the 1500s, or it's the housing craze in the early 2000s. Markets go up, markets come down. Now in the housing market, it went down for a little bit, but it's right back up higher than what it was back in 2000. So things, they do come back, okay? So wealth isn't a bad reason to want to collect comic books. It's not necessarily a good reason either, because I'm not saying you're ever going to get rich when you collect comic books. If you are a seller, this is your time. This is your golden age if you are a comic book seller, because the prices are they keep going up to prices that, nobody ever thought. Now, whenever I say that, anybody that collects comic books and does not think, hey, you know what, maybe this book could be worth some money someday. Everybody knows that comic books will rise over time. Supply, demand, they go up. Think about an Action Comics #1. Hey guys, if we can go into a time machine back to 1970, a high-grade copy of Action Comics #1 was going for $100. Nobody wanted to buy that book at that price at that time because that was just too crazy of a price for it. Honestly, I say 1970, that book was only 32 years old at that time. A 32-year-old book now was printed in 1989, so that's giving you some perspective. $100 in 1970 was a lot more money than it is in 2021, but the point's the same, okay? These books have been going up and up in value, and if you collect, you know that that's a part of it. But nobody saw these prices going up this quickly, this fast. This is new to everybody. And if you are trying to get some of those old grails, you're paying more money than you could have ever imagined paying for a book. And it starts to make you wonder why. I mean, people have bills to pay. People have kids to put through college. Hey, that rent, that mortgage, that whenever that's due on the first of the month or whenever it is, you need to make sure that you have that money available to you. And if you're putting your money into comic books, that means you have less money for that type of stuff. So why do people willingly put aside some hard-earned money for some old paper? Because that's what people call it. And I kind of like that term too, because it really does put it in perspective. You are putting your faith that old paper is going to not only maintain the value, because even if you're not looking to become rich, you don't want to lose money. You absolutely don't. And then if you love the story, and people tell me that you collect what you want because you like the story, well then why are you buying any books? Because you can get them all digitally and not have to pay a whole lot of money for it. So why is anybody collecting these things? A lot of people collect because it's something that happened in their childhood, and this is something I kind of touched briefly upon. Okay, some people, they have a relative who, hey, they bought them their first comic book, or they were a comic book reader themselves, and they wanted to keep going with that, that heritage, if you will, in their family. Some people they saw a movie and they really want to get that character. Many people collect comics because comics help to inspire people. You have these fantastical, characters, heroes, if you will. There are different genres of comic books. Not everything's a superhero, but they have inspirational stories. They have stories of people trying to overcome their circumstances and improve the world. Spider-Man is a classic case, okay? We all have heard, at least I say this, many people have heard the story about Uncle Ben being killed by the criminal that Peter Parker let go because Peter Parker was mad at the wrestler promoter that didn't pay him. And then Peter Parker then decided, hey, bad things can happen if we just turn a blind eye to corruption and crime. So he decided to make the world a better place. That's inspiring. That makes people want to be better people. That's a big reason that a lot of people, hey, comic books, these stories, I like these stories. I want to collect them after that. A lot of people, they like the medium of comic books. And what I mean by that is they like the flashy pictures. They like how the books smell. In fact, that's a real thing too. And I'm the guy who likes how comic books smell. I have a comic book room, and you guys see that in the introduction. I'm in a hotel room right now. I'm working away from home right now. But when I walk into my comic book room at my house, the room has a smell to it, and it is an old comic book smell. And I love that about, collecting comics and seeing it. That smell just, I don't know what it does to me, but it just puts a smile on my face because it's a pleasant smell. I mean, I imagine somebody might think it's a musty smell, but I don't care. I like it. It makes me happy. But the art and the style, the action that's in comic books, and guys, let's be honest. If you read a book and then you go and watch that movie, you're always disappointed in a movie because your mind creates a better image than what Hollywood can do. And Hollywood's getting better at it, but it's still not what you can come up with in your head. Your imagination, your own thought process, that always has a lot more talent in it than some of these Hollywood guys that do this for a living. So yes, that's reading the story and the artwork that goes along with it and what you build up in your mind, and you fill in the gaps from the pages and the panels from one to the next. That's another reason that people like these comic books and they like to collect them. A lot of people, and I fall victim to this, we're completionists. We like to have a whole bunch of books that fill a run, that tell the whole story, and you can mark that off and you're like, I have 3 more books to go to find and I will be done with this run. And when you finish that run, there is a true satisfaction. Hey, I did this. Storytelling is one. There are so many genres to comic books. It's not just superheroes that, like I talked about. You have horror books, you have romance books, you have teenage angst books, and yes, that's still a thing. You have any type of story you want to read about, you will find that story. My wife loves the story Strangers in Paradise. I don't think that they're printing that anymore, but she used to read that every month, and it got her into comic books, and she just enjoyed the storytelling. What I would love to do is I would love to hear some of your reasons for still collecting comic books, especially in today's day and age with the rising prices on the secondary market. So guys, please go ahead and put them down in the comments and share your reasons for collecting comic books. Hey, I hope you like this content. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. All right, guys, I want to thank everybody for watching, and you have a great day.